we'll have to start from the home front, and it's not a pleasant news talking about the Super Falconets of Nigeria. Yes, the pictures have flooded the internet, and there are now allegations as well as counter allegations or contradictory statements in that sense regarding the possibility of the players being stranded. The pictures are all over where we can see the Falconets sleeping at the airport right there in Istanbul, Turkey. Remember, these gallant women represented Nigeria at the ongoing Women's Under-20 World Cup taking place in Costa Rica, but they crashed out in the quarterfinals to their Dutch counterparts on Monday, but losing by 2-0. And for all of these reports about the team being stranded and not treated well, the NFF General Secretary, Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, has countered those allegations, saying that the team wasn't stranded, but rather missed their connecting flight to Abuja. They made the trip from Costa Rica to Turkey, and they were meant to get a connecting flight from Istanbul down to Abuja, but missed that flight as a result of logistic issues. And again, this just brings into the spotlight how players get treated sometimes by the Nigerian Football Federation. Yes, not all of them will be deliberate in terms of not arranging the logistics down to the finest of details, but it also raises the question, why can't we have a proper system in place wherein all of these issues won't have to arise, talking about players being stranded or not being paid their allowances as a when due and having to embark on industrial action by missing training sessions or refusing to leave their hotel rooms for preparations for games or teamwork and all of that. This again puts the Nigerian Football Federation in bad light, especially Nigeria on the international scene, and then one would hope that going forward it's something that is rectified and worked upon. But as I said earlier, the Nigerian Football Federation, through its General Secretary, Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, has countered the reports that these women were stranded in Istanbul, but saying that they rather missed their flight. I hope that will be rectified, and then in the coming days we get clarity. These women have represented us in a very good way on the international scene. The very least they deserve is a bit of dignity, decency, and respect from us all, including the Nigerian Football Federation, in terms of getting them home safely. And let's hope that they also grow in their football, careers from the under-20 down to the dream team, as they are called. That's the under-23 team where they play at the Olympics, and possibly some of them transitioning to the final stage of national football, talking about the Super Falcons when it comes to our women's football. But the reports are there. Let's hope that NFF does something as quickly as possible to bring those women back home in time. Let's move away from there now and turn our attention to European football. Yesterday we had action in England, and it's all about the Carabao Cup, also known as the EFL Cup. Yes, several Premier League teams were in action, and the majority of them struggled. Some had it convincingly in terms of getting the win. The most shocking result had to be Fulham, who were stunned by fourth-tier side Crawley Town by 2-0. That ended goals coming from Tom Nichols as well as James Bagazzi, and for James Balagzi rather. He's a Liverpool loanee playing at Crawley Town. For Crawley Town, the win definitely is a shock considering they are yet to win this season. Of 5 games played in the League 2, they've drawn 4, they've lost 4 rather, and drawn 1. So for a team that has failed to win in the first 5 matches of this season, to get an impressive victory like this over Fulham is definitely commendable. And for Fulham, it's coming as a shock considering they won 3-2 against Brentford in their last Premier League outing, with manager Marco Silva making 10 changes to that starting 11, and that's definitely cost them dearly, talking about the loss against Crawley Town. But it's Crawley Town who are into the 3rd round, while for Fulham, it's a cup out of the way when it comes to competitive fixtures. It gives them opportunity to rest and focus on the Premier League in terms of retaining their Premier League status for next season. But no one wants to lose a cup game, and Fulham were just at the receiving end. As I said earlier, it wasn't only Fulham who were in action. We had other teams in action as well, and Leicester City were one of the Premier League teams in action at the Carabao Cup. They also struggled against Stockport away from home, and that was a game that was really, really difficult for the Foxes as they played out a stalemate, goalless, that ended over the course of 90 minutes, and it had to do with penalties with goalkeeper Daniel Everson right there on your screen, who shone like a million stars to get Leicester City through. He saved 3 penalties out of 4 to be able to get Leicester City through to the third round. 3-1 that ended with Leicester City winning on penalties, converting 3 of 5 spot kicks. During the spot kicks, you had James Maddison as well as Ayos Perez missing from the spot, but they were lucky that they had Daniel Everson in fine form to be able to put them through over the course of the 5 kicks they took. So it's Leicester City who are through to a third round, also avoiding another big upset from the Carabao Cup, just as we witnessed Crawley Town stun Fulham. Well, not only Leicester City were in action, you had Everton in action, another Premier League team that struggled as well, this time around away from home at Fleetwood, and had to take Demarai Gray, that's the former Leicester City man, whose solitary strike rather was enough to guide Everton through to the next round. For Everton Football Club, they still have a lot to do, talking about getting enough goals from the final third. Remember, Richarlison was sold to Tottenham Hotspur for £60 million, and he hasn't been adequately replaced. So the goals aren't coming in their torrents, and as a result of that, they're still battling with converting their chances. But Gray's strike was enough to get them through against Fleetwood, and they're through to the third round. That's definitely a relief for Frank Lampard, because he's definitely one of the managers that has been earmarked to be sacked before December, considering Everton's travails, injury woes, as well as their form going into the season. The form has not been good for Everton, and they'll be hoping that this win stirs them to embark on a very good run of form where they can string successive wins, or at least go on an unbeaten run for quite some time. Well, let's move away from the review of yesterday's matches and talk about the preview of today's matches. We have the big one. It's probably the biggest of the night, and that is UEFA Champions League qualification. It is the qualification round for the group stages, and the tie is currently finally poised between Rangers and PSV end of round. For PSV, they will be at home, having snatched the 2-2 draw at the Ibrox Stadium last week. Remember, the away goal rules have been scrapped by UEFA, so it's all to play for in the return leg right there in Holland. PSV at home, 2 goals apiece for both sides. Who gets this? It's Rangers against PSV, and for Rangers, they will be looking at getting back to scoring the goals that got them through the various qualifying rounds down to the match against PSV. PSV as well, with Van Nistelrooy, that's the Manchester United legend, now at the helm of affairs, talking about the managerial role at PSV. He'll be looking to get them through as well into the group stages. This is one you do not want to miss, and I'm sure it would hold so much at stake for both teams. Talking about qualification for the UEFA Champions League. Remember, there's so much money to be made from the UEFA Champions League. Making it to the group stages, there's over £10 million, among others, incentive that will come through. So I'm sure Rangers and PSV would fight it all out to be able to get themselves into that line of attaining such financial rewards. Let's move away from there now and talk about the transfer market, and we have to start from the Premier League. It's all about Wesley Fofana at this point in time, the Leicester City defender who is being targeted by Chelsea Football Club. For the third time, Leicester City have rebuffed Chelsea's advance, talking about pricing him from them to Stamford Bridge. This time around, it's a £70 million bid from Chelsea Football Club that was rejected by Leicester City, and this was confirmed by Brendan Rodgers. It means that Chelsea will have to make another bid for Leicester City. They're holding out for a record fee of £85 million. Remember, that was the £80 million was the amount Manchester United parted ways with to sign Harry Maguire from Leicester City to Old Trafford. And this time around, Leicester City are asking for £85 million. That is what we understand. But will Chelsea meet up with that asking price? It's yet to be seen. This is the third offer, and all 3 have been rejected by Leicester City. For Fofana, he's just 21-year-old, but he's a highly priced asset, which Leicester City do not want to part away with on a cheap, so to speak. While for Fofana himself, is right now training with the under-23 team, having been banished by coach Brendan Rodgers, considering his antics in trying to force a move away from the King Power Stadium. He missed training session last time out. It wasn't included in the match day 3 for Leicester City. So it's all about forcing the move at this time for Fofana. Let's see if Chelsea will be able to get him. Chelsea have spent £170 million this transfer season, bringing in the likes of Raheem Sterling, Kalidou Koulibaly. You have Gabriel Solinena in the mix as well. And they are not done spending. They still want to spend more. And they're looking at bringing in Fofana to shore up that left-hand side of the defense. Let's see if Leicester City will be willing to play a game, especially if Fofana insists or goes on a player strike as it were. Well, let's move away from there, but still talking about Chelsea Football Club. Yes, Emerson Palmieri has left Chelsea Football Club for £15 million, and he has made the switch to East London, joining West Ham United. Now, the 28-year-old Italian joined Chelsea Football Club earlier and struggled to get playing time as having, joined Chelsea Football Club at a time, but from Roma, yes, from Roma, but he joined in 2018, but struggled to get playing time all through the period and spent last season on loan at Olympique Lyon, where he played 29 matches for Lyon and scored a goal during his stint with, the French outfit. This time around, he's back at Chelsea, but has completed a switch to West Ham United, where we'll be looking to get more playing time at the Olympic Stadium. For Chelsea Football Club, this is more money. Maybe the £15 million added with the £70 million will get them their targets, talking about Wesley Fofana. But for West Ham, it's been a busy summer, it must be said, as Emerson joins the likes of Scamacca, Aguerd, Falconets, Dunes, Kera, Areola to move to West Ham United.